A police inquiry that began with the horrifying story of a Scottish grandfather has grown into the biggest child abuse investigation in the UK. 2 years ago, John McCabe persuaded police to launch what was their third investigation into a detention centre where he was held in the 1980s. More than 1,200 former inmates have since come forward to allege that they too suffered physical and sexual abuse at the hands of prison workers. John has been speaking to our chief reporter, David Cowan.
Behind the reinforced steel fence, 17 feet high, detainees serve sentences of anything up to 6 months.
In the 1970s and 80s, thousands of teenagers and young men were dispatched to Borstal in County Durham. 3 decades on from the closure of Medomsley Detention Centre, huge numbers of former inmates have come forward to say they were abused behind its bars. The centre has been investigated at least twice before. Police launched the third inquiry, Operation Seabrook, after being approached by John McCabe and his then MP Michael McCann. In the 2 years that have followed, it's become the largest abuse investigation in the UK.
There's 1,220 victims have came forward. A quarter of them are in counselling. It's sexual abuse, physical abuse, torture, mental torture.
John was raped at Medomsley every day for 5 months by prison officer Neville Husband, who was jailed years later for sexually abusing other inmates. A second prison worker, Leslie Johnston, was also convicted and jailed. Both men have since died. John believes others have escaped justice. He was taken out of Medomsley by Neville Husband to be abused by another man. John knows of a dozen other inmates who suffered the same ordeal.
And it was pre-arranged prior to us getting took out of Medomsley.
So it sounds like it was organised then?
It was definitely organised.
And it does sound like a paedophile ring?
No, it's definitely a paedophile ring.
Many people have asked how such abuse could have gone undetected for so long. The police are trying to establish how it was organised.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I genuinely believe that during this period we're talking about, in the 1970s and 1980s, and possibly creeping into the 1990s, we had a structure within the state that allowed deviants, paedophiles to operate with impunity, and Medomsley is part of that.
Both men expressed frustration that after 2 years no one has been charged, although they acknowledge that it's become a huge and enormously complex case. John is angry that action has not yet been taken against police officers who turned away inmates who'd reported abuse at the time.
They are more accountable than anybody, and they must be tracked down and they must be chased.
Early in the morning and sentences served, another 4 lads are set free.
Durham Constabulary have interviewed at least 16 former members of staff from Medomsley. The case is now being considered by the Crown Prosecution Service. David Cowan, STV News.